There we go. 3, 2, and 1. Well, Mayor Doug, welcome back to Mayor's Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com. I know it's been pretty hectic. It's been pretty crazy here at City Hall, so appreciate carving out some time for us here as our usual monthly chats. Obviously, everybody knows what's been going on here at City Hall. Everybody has an opinion, one side or another, as to what's been going on at City Hall, so we're not going to dive too much into that, but I do want to ask you some follow-ups from the council meeting last Tuesday night. Obviously, there's been a lot going on. One of the points that was made in more than one occasion following the meeting, and for those that don't know, we're talking about the proposal for the extra security upgrades for the, I call it the municipal drop box because you're intending for it to be for documents, for payments, things like that. I don't know if that's what you're officially naming it here at City Hall, but for ballots as well. A couple people pointed out the $3,000 price tag on that security upgrade for the floodlighting and the security cameras is something that you can actually sign off on that yourself directly here out of the office. Now that we've been through the council meeting, we didn't get the discussion on that. Is that something that you might plan on doing here in the next day or two?
Well, thanks for coming up, Mike, and certainly glad to put the flag vest on for you today.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's a little bit of a non sequitur that any security measures or anything to do with the ballot at this point box would be put on my shoulders, since I was told loudly, or not told, because the city council had a clearly a coordinated effort to not take it up. Mm-hmm. So they didn't take it up. So I'm in kind of a little bit of a pickle here. They're telling me after the meeting, I've got emails from alders saying, hey, you can go do this. This is a win. Go out there and announce that you're going to implement these security measures that you talked about. I mean, Mike, I left it on my desk over there. I showed you the pictures of the
from the front door camera. Yeah, they're right. Included in the agenda packet.
They're in the packet. So clearly, at least the one camera needs to be upgraded. Mm-hmm. Pretty obvious. To say that now I'm the arbiter of all security here. I mean, I took a look at it. I went out there and took a look at it. I took a walk down. Went down and got the footage, saw myself, or not see myself, because in one angle you can't distinguish who it is, day or night.
Exactly.
Now there is one camera that does catch it pretty good, and it's great. It's a great resolution during the day, but again at night, a gentleman was walking one way, I was walking the other way, indistinguishable as to who they are. So, I thought it was a pretty simple thing to highlight, to bring before the council, and they chose to kind of have their cake and eat it too. So I'm going to look at this and let the dust settle. I really don't want to adjudicate, and at this stage before the election, 20 some days, it isn't something we're going to adjudicate at City Hall, and really the council is not structured for such an impact to make that kind of decision. The usage of the box or not, and some of the legal issues that I brought up, mm-hmm. I'm not going to fight that fight here. It may be fought at a later date. I made my statement based on the security, and it's now bolted to the ground, which we saw that we wanted. Mm-hmm. We talked about the security, and then some issues came up with the labeling, as you mentioned. Can it be joint use? I'll leave that up to the clerk at this point. Somebody called me this afternoon and said, hey, can I put my water bill into the ballot envelope and drop it in there? No, I don't think so. So
yeah,
but those are instructions that the clerk will issue, and, mm-hmm. and they'll follow the proper procedures. Like I've mentioned all along, I believe our clerk has the best interest of the city and the voting integrity in mind, and she does an excellent job. This is an area where we had a disagreement on whether they're needed or not, and then coupled with some of the security concerns that I had, there it sat with the council deciding in the face of an hour and 15 minutes of public comment to not take it up. So I was disappointed in that. And I think a lot of people were disappointed. You know, advice and consent is not the same as approval necessarily, but it could be.
Absolutely.
Other cities, and I offered some examples of what other cities have done. So, you know, we didn't even get a chance to discuss why did Brookfield, New Berlin, and I forgot Muskego do it differently. And that tells me that there are many different options and there are many different paths toward this. And one thing I would like to have said, imagine if the roles were reversed. Imagine if, we'll just pick any clerk out there in the good town, Wisconsin, decided they didn't want the Dropbox. And what if the mayor went out and bolted down a Dropbox because the mayor wanted one? So some of the arguments that were made last night about the integrity of the vote and disenfranchisement, where would those go? Which part would they land in? Because you have the sole unfettered discretion unchecked by the clerk, or do you have some combination of that?
Yeah, and again, you brought up the fact that the council just, arbitrarily decided there wasn't even a motion, there wasn't even a first on it, so the motion never actually got to the discussion phase. Is that something, and I got the sense talking with you after the meeting as well, is that something you would have at least liked to have seen, maybe an explanation from one of the alders saying, this is why we're not doing this, instead of the 11 alders sitting there silent?
Sure, and I you use the term arbitrarily.
Yeah.
So I with the knowledge, looking back at that meeting and reviewing that meeting, it's pretty clear that it wasn't arbitrary, because notes were clearly compared and everyone was pretty much on the same page as to what they were thinking. So, that it would be a bigger leap for me to say that there was something nefarious going on there, but I would ask, take a look at it yourself and make that judgment for yourself.
Sure, absolutely. So now that we've gotten through that, talk.
Oh, no, I will. I'm going to take a hanging chat on that.
Sure.
Because I have had emails from alders.
Sure.
Trying to clean things up. Spoke to me afterward, and there's been a press release. So the interesting thing is, we've got press releases from alders on the subject matter that they didn't want to talk about last night, but they're more than willing to talk about in the press. Go figure.
Yeah, and like we said, communication is going to be very important on this going forward, and hopefully we will get to a point where we do have that kind of one voice communication coming on this. But again, like you said, there's legal things going on in the background. There's other things that we won't dive into right now.
So most of the punches have been thrown. So I guess you're catching me on the day after with a couple hours sleep. We're going to find a path forward. I think we're on that path. Just a few cleanup things here to go. So
absolutely.
Give me something good.
How about the budget?
The budget.
The budget. I mean, how are we coming on that?
Good news on the budget is we will be meeting this tonight in about an hour and a half to go over some capital items. We're putting the final book together, so on Monday we'll have that, and then we'll see where we are in terms of the levy limit and the expenditure restraint, and see how that. I mean, it's looking like the levy rate is going to be coming down. Our equalized value is up like $1 billion.
Yep.
So that's helpful. Our net new construction is up. So we'll see if we can smooth things out. I think we may have some good news on our health insurance front. So all things being said, right now we're going into the weekend. Fingers crossed that Monday we've got all the numbers. We will have all the numbers there for our first stab, and then after that we take it from there. We're going to give alders the council options for revenue cuts. I'm sorry, not revenue cuts, but expense cuts, expenditure cuts, and so the guidance was up to 2.5% from every director, and revenue enhancers, another 2.5% or more. So we'll have those kind of menued out. Owners will then have a chance to pick and choose. Are we going to cut the grass at City Hall, or I'm using just a fake example.
Right. Absolutely. And yeah, $6 billion in equalized value for the first time in city history, and that's a big number there, of course, due to the revaluation. So the $1 million question then, or I guess $1 billion question in this, do you know what it's doing to the regular property tax values? Some of those people that maybe you were looking at increases, are they still looking at the face of an increase, or still too soon to tell?
Well, it's too soon to tell, because each property is going to be billed separately and according to what their market rate did. And I think the guidance we gave earlier, the mill rate is going down. Will it go down proportional to your increase, or what do you want to call it, counter to your increase and offset? The answer is, in certain cases of medium to lower cost homes that went up at a higher rate, you're likely to get a little bit of a bump. So that's a lot of people, because most people's homes fall into that. But we're going to try to mitigate it with holding our expenditures and holding our levy.
Well, look forward to seeing how that goes, Mayor Diny. I know you've got a busy
See
schedule.
us on Monday.
Yeah, I know you got a busy schedule. We'll look forward to chatting again next month.
Thanks, Mike.